Last time out on the M4J network, I put my new timetable programs to the test by attempting to get a whole franchise up and running. Sadly, I had to end the episode without success. However, whisper it quietly, I think I finally got it working. So today we're going to push things to the limit again by getting not one but two more franchises up and running. This will see 16 intensive commuter services join the network, along with a speedy airport express. Oh, and just to make things more interesting, these two franchises also interact with one another. So fingers crossed this works, otherwise we'll be heading on the wrong track pretty quickly. Hey everyone, it's M4J here, and welcome back to the M4J network here on openttd. Welcome back to Gardcity. I have exceedingly good news. First of all, I still can't put my microphone where I'm comfortable. That's not good news, that's just news. The HLR is working. If I was to zoom in here, you can see trains are running. Now we had this anyway, we had trains running, but trains are now running without getting in each other's way, which is awesome. The timetable conflict detector resolver program that I've spent 3 months of my life working on is done-ish. It works, that's the main thing. There are lots of things about it I want to change still. The UI is a bit clunky in places. I still need to make tutorials for it, but I'm not sure if I want to do that until before or after I fix the UI, just in case I accidentally break something else. But the main thing is, everything is hunky-dory and working and awesome. I'm just seeing where trains are. There are a couple of spots where things are a little bit iffy. I'm going to put it down to, I wanted to really show off how realistic this program is, and therefore I made some accidental conflicts still. But I think the main crux of it is, we've got 5 services running here in a very tight space. This core line here especially has 3 services running on it every 10 minutes. And because of that, there will be instances where things don't quite work as expected. But they do work, and that's the main bit. I'm just looking here to see. So yeah, that's a Leyhill train. That'll go off under the tunnel there. This is a GSG train, so it'll go into the central platform there. Hopefully. There we are. And terminate. And it'll sit there for however long it is, and then it'll leave. I'm not going to get too in depth as to how this program works now. I'm going to save that for future tutorials, or maybe later on in this video if I'm feeling like I want to show off a little bit. The main thing is it does work. But as I said, there are a couple of little iffy areas. One of which is over here. You watch now as... Ah yeah. So this train here is going to head round here into this platform, and then the train behind it, the blue one, which I want to say is a Kenville train. Nope, you're a Slenston train, of course you are. And this one here is a Shoreham Central train. I was about to say GSE, that's not correct. The problem here is the Constantina effect. So this train, yeah, you see it hesitated a little bit there, but it wasn't too bad. But in a second, this one's going to slow down to 10 miles an hour to go around this tight curve. And when it does that, the train behind it is going to get stuck at this signal. I could fix it by putting another signal there, but I think actually it's fine. There you go. It's going to stop there. And this train here is going to come round, and now it's cleared and it can go. It's fine. Like, it's not the worst. And actually, this triangular junction here, I thought was going to be a real pain to do. But it is quite balletic, the way it all works. The way train here goes straight across, and a train here goes straight across, and it does that at the same time. And I think there's also one where one of the trains goes around a corner whilst another train goes around a corner. Oh, right on cue. There we go. And they cross over each other. It's beautiful. I love it. It's so cool. The other little iffy issue is over here. Right now we have a Shoreham Central train sat in the central platform at Shoreham Central. In a second, where is it? Over here. We're going to see, if I just speed up time, this train here has arrived at Shoreham Junction. It's going to depart, and then it's going to have to sit here for, I think it's a minute. In fact, it's less than a minute. It leaves at the end of the minute. There we go. That one leaves, and then that one comes in. Because of the way it all works, though, it doesn't actually block anything, only itself. So it just sits there. And I'm, again, quite happy with that. And the blue train here then follows along behind this one. There is one section heading north where two blue trains chase each other. Looking for it right now. Here. These two. And then there's the one where the blue train chases the red train, which I'm not. If were I to do it again, and I may go back and fix it in the future, who knows, I will increase those headways. And I do actually have headways built into the conflict resolver. So I think what I've done there is made them too small. And that's why, you know, they run a little too close together. I think there's also a signaling thing. Like I said, it's only prevalent over here because this train has to slow down to go around this corner. Were it not for that, this would clear pretty quickly. If the red train went straight on, for example, the blue train behind it wouldn't have to stop at all. It would just get cleared and in it goes. But it's because of the speed limit change. It goes from, I think it's 20 around this corner to 10, so it halves. And that does cause an issue. But overall, everything's working on the HLR. So, let's go take a look at the Western Reaches North and see how that's doing. So I'm over here at Gardcity St Michael, or GSMI for short, and as you'll see, we have trains running here too. We have 11 services in total operating on the Western Reaches North, 7 of which operate out of St Michael. For some reason, only 3 at a time are in, maximum of 3 at a time, I should say, are in these platforms at any given moment. So you see we've got one semi-fast, which is the 319 up here. Zoom in a little bit, there you go. And then 2 333s. Again, slightly anachronistic that we've got these 2 here because they didn't exist at the time period that this is set, but they're in the game. So I'll put it down to creative license, and we have them running, and they look really cool. I love the fact as well that these 2 trains have very similar liveries, despite the fact they are set years and years apart. That's a modern Thameslink livery, the blue one. And then these 2 are Northern. 1 second, I need to sneeze. Oh, hay fever. Hits me like a train. We've then got the 3 express services. There's only 2 in the station right now. The third one, I believe, is not too far away, he wants to say. There we go. It's just storming through now, and I believe this one is a non-stopper as well, so it'll go straight through. You watch, it'll pull up now. Yep, it's pulling up. It's slowing down. I've actually changed the settings for realistic acceleration and realistic braking. Man, it's so much better. Trains actually slow down ahead of a station. So that the APT here actually starts braking for the stations somewhere up here. And then properly slows down and then just crawls into the platform. It's really, really satisfying. What is also really, really satisfying is seeing all of this work. Like I said, we've got 7 services that operate out of GSMI, and 4 of them are on the slow lines. Every single one of them stops at Slenston, and yet there is no instances here at all of trains waiting to access the platform, which is incredibly satisfying. For the most part, they run half-hourly as well. There is one train, the one up to Wenfingfield, that runs every 20 minutes. And again, from what I can tell anyway, I've watched this for several real-life days now, and there are no issues whatsoever that I've noticed. There may be some, but from what I've seen, there are no issues whatsoever. So the conflict detector, as far as I am concerned, works. It's complete. The project is finished. I can sleep again. Because my word was it's stressful trying to get it all to work. But it does seem to work. The other thing I've noticed as well is trains don't really chase one another much around here, which is also really, really cool. There is actually room to breathe between each train, not like there is on the HLR. So you'll see here we've got 319049, which is the one over here. And yes, all my trains have got unit numbers, and each one of these is also independently numbered. So the one at the front is 319049. I cannot remember for the life of me what the other one is, because I don't believe the numbers actually stay here. But were I to split these units up again, you would see the individual unit numbers. I do have a spreadsheet, because I'm that kind of guy, that has all of the unit numbers and which units they're coupled to, what franchise they operate on, what route they operate on, what service they operate on, and also which unit they are coupled to. All of that is going to be available for people to look at some point in the future, not today. Anyway, the point I was making, so we've got 319049, which is just pulled in now. Behind it, the next one in, so this at 9:22, the next one in is at 9:31, and that's a slow train. And then after that, we've got 9:38, so 7 minutes later, and that's also semi-fast, same as this one. They both, yeah, this one's come from Sunnington. The next one here is from Plindon Junction. And then after that, the next one is at 9:45, which is another slow train. And then 9:51, which is the complete set. That's all 5. You'll also have noticed this. This is the new depot for commuter trains operating out of GSMI. Basically, I tried the Moningpool Lake technique of having them all running out of here. And no, basically it didn't work. Any service that doesn't operate out of GSMI and all of the express services still use this as a base. I can show you that like this. Excuse me, I've got really weird hiccups today. I don't know what's going on. I think it's the heat. I don't know. These trains are all based here. So we've got the Moningpool Falls to Sunnington, both Wenfingfield services, and the semi-fast between Sunnington and Plindon Junction. And then, of course, all 3 express trains. There are 19 trains that operate out of here. The majority of which use Moningpool Lake East. 2 of them use Moningpool Lake West. They are the 2 that start and finish at Moningpool Falls. You might have noticed a problem there as well. We'll talk about that in just a second. And yeah, this gets filled up. These sidings at the back here don't actually get used at all. I think they are too far away from this signal here. There is a limit on how far a train will look for a free slot. And I didn't want trains queuing up around the loop here. So the slow and semi-fast services out of GSMI were moved to a new facility over here at Carnwell. This is Carnwell Train Care sidings. And eventually, the Western Reaches South services out of GSMI will also use this depot. Now, to head back to Moningpool Falls, you may have noticed something. We have this train here that's queuing on the bridge. It queues for 2 minutes to use one of these central platforms. I don't know why this has ended up happening, because as far as I was concerned, I'd built a system that would avoid this from happening based on platform designations. So something hasn't quite gone right somewhere, but that's fine, because again, it's slightly realistic. If you've ever been to central London on a train, sometimes you do have to wait outside the station for the signals to clear, and that's basically what we've got here. So right now we've got this train, which is to GSMI. Other one, you, yeah, to Wenfingfield. And then you, I believe, are also... Oh, no, yeah, you're the one from Sunnington. Yes, you're the loop train. But as you can see now, this platform is cleared, so this one will now go straight on. The other thing I really like about this new system is this train will always queue here, and it will always end up running into this central platform, straight on, every single time. So satisfying. There is one other instance on the Western Reaches that I'm not 100% happy with, but again, it's not the end of the world. We have 2 APTs sat here, and I believe this is the example one. You and... yeah. So these leave... if I show you... these leave bang on at the same time. And originally, this caused an issue, because the slower one, the one that stops at Bedtown, would actually get out first, which means the faster one would have to stop. The way I fixed it, because the absolute issue ended up being over here, the Bedtown stopper would come into its platform and, funny enough, stop. And then the fast one would have to queue behind it, and it would only be able to pass once it got to Moningpool Falls, which is over here, which is less than ideal. So the way I fixed it is I added a small penalty here, medium pathfinding penalty for faster trains. So essentially, the slower train comes in and stops, or the all-stopper, I should say, or the not quite as express as the other one, comes in and stops, and then the faster train comes through here and actually overtakes it on the outside track. It's a solution. It's not the most ideal solution, but it's a solution. The solution I had for this one over here, because I don't want to run the conflict detector again on this because it is a bit of a faff having to redo, because you have to put every single service in, and then there's a particular part of the process that you have to do. And I have managed to make it so that you don't have to do it the same way every single time. Again, more on that when the time comes. My solution to this would be add another crossover here, say, and just have this platform be bidirectional, or this platform be bidirectional. One of these platforms, maybe both, and have 4 platforms be able to terminate trains. Problem with that, of course, though, is if it sits here for 15 minutes, whatever it is, then the train coming in this way can't actually use its platform. So then I'd have to make this one bidirectional, or available to be used by all services, which could then affect something else, and so on and so forth. So it sits here for like a minute and a half. I don't think it's actually 2 minutes. And I don't see that as being a massive issue. It's the slowest of the slow trains anyway, because it's the one that runs around the loop. So I don't see it being a massive issue. Trains run every half an hour, so every 30 minutes there'll be a train sat here for like a minute or so. It's not the end of the world. So the main thing is, the program works. It works with a mix of 3 different services on the same track, which over here, not so much of an issue, but on these double pairs here and here, there are no instances at all of a fast train being caught up behind a slow train. And that's because of the chain system that I created, which actually itself solved a lot of problems as I was going through. I was like, oh, how do I do this? And I was like, oh wait, I've got the chains. They do it. That comes down to things like routing, and the fact that every station is a waypoint or a stopping point, depending on what train you're running, means that every single item along the track, station, waypoint, depot, whatever it might be, has a time attached to it. And it ensures that no 2 trains occupy the same station at the same time in the same direction, unless there are multiple platforms that allow it to do so. So clever. I'm very, very happy with how it all worked. And when I say so clever, by the way, I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about the program, because a lot of it was suggested to me and comes from a lot of trial and error. And if anyone knows what simulated annealing is, and I hope I'm pronouncing that word correctly, it might be annealing or annealing, I don't know. But if anyone knows what that is, I'm not going to go into it right now, but that's how I fixed all this with the whole conflict resolution process. So if you are familiar with what that is, you'll know that sounds really obvious, but it took me 2 months to find that solution and then another month to implement it. Anyway, everything's working. So now we can move on to today's actual episode, which is to really, really stress test all of this. Someone just subscribed to my channel there as I was about to start recording, so whoever that was, thank you very much. We're here at GSMI again. We're not going to stay here. I just wanted to show you it fully stocked with the APTs and everything. As you can see, there are 8 platforms for each type of service, and when only 3 are occupied at any one time, that means there are 5 remaining for the Western Reaches South, which is very useful to have. There may end up being cases where more platforms are free, but right now this is perfect because I've been a busy beaver whilst off camera, as well as getting the HLR fixed and the Western Reaches North here up and running. I have also gone ahead, I need to get up the right spreadsheet here, bear with me. There it is. I have also gone ahead and created stopping patterns for the next 4 franchises. That means I've got 4 episodes worth of content to give you guys over the coming weeks, months, whatever it might be. Obviously, the biggest stumbling block with all of this is getting the timing trains and stuff run. The rest of it after that is pretty much straightforward. And also getting the numbers copied across, of course, but that's also pretty straightforward. So we're actually going to leave GSMI and we're going to head up here past St. Christopher, which will get populated in the future, up here to St. Elizabeth. This is the hub of the West Winds franchise, which operates out of St. Elizabeth on 2 pairs of tracks. You can't really see one because it's buried, but the other one is here. One thing I am going to do eventually is come through, in fact I might even do this today, is come through and tweak this slightly. In fact, I will have to do it today, otherwise trains won't be able to run properly. But basically, some of these really long, stupid tunnels I want to get rid of. So this one here, it runs under a town, so that makes sense. But this one here doesn't actually need to exist. I could put bridges across and have it just run through a cutting. So that might change. Most of that might happen off camera though. But essentially, yeah, we run on 2 pairs of tracks. This one here just runs up to Flaham Junction, where it then joins the other... Technically, this is the West Winds main line, but at this point here, it's only used by, a few commuter trains. The other pair of tracks, you see it here, comes up to Padwood Junction, where it splits, and again, this pair head up to Dronnington and Tenfing Bridge, which is just over here, where again it joins the main line heading north. All of this is going to get rebuilt here today as well. And then this pair of lines comes up this way and runs onto the North Valleys line, which runs east to west across here. And then this actually runs up to Sunnington, as does this line, which is the West Winds main line. So it ties in very nicely with what we were doing last time. We need to do a lot of rebuilding then. I've already mentioned it there. And the other thing we're going to do, and I might have already given this away in the intro, so apologies for that. There's no more tension. Also, this stupid tunnel as well I want to get rid of. Just have it. I need this tunnel here as well. Just have it as a cutting, one track above the other. There's no reason to have tunnels. Because we're going to be interacting with the cross-country line here, the cross-country connection, which connects. This is the Great Northern main line, which becomes the Grand Northern a little bit further up. And this is the West Winds line, and you can see there's this pair of tracks that connects it. We're actually been running trains along here later on today. So because of that, we actually have to do the Great Northern main line as well. So between here and Warnbridge Airport, which is at the top of the hill here, we're going to be re-signalling, rebuilding, reconfiguring. Major rebuild here for Honningville, so I probably should bribe the local authority now, so that if it doesn't work for whatever reason, there we go, I've got time to let it run. Basically all of these terminus platforms here we're going to remove, and we're going to do it again. Apart from that though, I think this is going to remain as is. There's also going to be a rebuild over here at Punfingford, because it doesn't need to be this big anymore, and we can let the town grow up to it again. I think for this, because I don't want to move the motorway around too much, so I think here, oh yeah, we've also got this Transrapid thing, haven't we? Forgot about that. Yeah, might have to find a solution for that as well. And there is also this station over here, of course, which I don't think I've actually factored into any of my services. So I might go and tweak one of those. Speaking of the services, I've already mentioned there's going to be a lot of rebuilding. This 6-track main line here, I think, is going to get reduced back down to 4 as well. With the new conflict detection system, it's going to work fine. There is also the Grand Northern franchise, which operates out of the express platforms here at GSG. I have got 4 of those, I think, planned so far, but I'm not going to implement any of them yet, because as far as I'm concerned, the majority of the semi-fast services on both sets of tracks actually aren't going to use the fast tracks. They're going to use the slow tracks still. So I guess it's fine to not implement the expresses today and then come back later and bring those in. And then yeah, this is going to get a massive rebuild as well. But I'm a little bit cut for time with this episode. I know I've already talked for like 20 minutes on the first 2 bits, but not everything is going to be shown in a time lapse. Some of it's going to be off camera as well. But you'll know how these are going to look now. There'll be 1 or 2 tracks through the center, and everything else will be storage tracks. Because again, all of this is timetabled. One of the things I want to add to the conflict detector is the ability to add the journey to and from the depot at the start and end of each day. Just so that is also factored in when detecting conflicts between services. But that's not in there right now, so it's all done by eye. The main thing is though, yeah, all of this is going to get rebuilt. And to go back to what I was saying, since I was talking about services, let's introduce you to at least the ones out of GSE for now, which are West Winds. So the first one, Gardcity St Elizabeth, which is here, and I'm going to pin you up here so I remember where you are. Just fast travel back. GSE to Sunnington, and that uses the bottom pair of tracks here. It stops at most key stations along this section, up to Padwood, where it does stop, yeah. Then it stops over here at Mardinghall, And I think it skips the one after that. No, apparently it stops at it, which is here, Sinningston. These are very close together, mind. So that might get tweaked. This might get moved over, and then this corner smoothed out slightly. Up to Drunnington and Tenfing Bridge, and then it runs along the main line here, all the way up to Sunnington. And that's how that fits in. The next one is Gardcity St Elizabeth to Launceston. Now, Launceston is on the North Valleys line. So this will take the same line here through to Padwood, but then instead of going west here, it actually goes north. And it carries on all the way through this, all the way through this. There's the Blue Lagoon. There'll be a new station constructed there to match this one here. There'll be an interchange point between the two. And then at this point here, it will connect with the North Valleys, turn north here, and Launceston is this one. And it will use the central platform here to terminate. Then we have Narfingburg Springs, which is basically the same thing, except this one... yeah, this one does do what I thought it did, which is at Padwood, it goes north again, reaches the North Valleys. Instead of turning north here, it goes east, and then it follows this. There's St Halter, where it also connects up with the Blue Lagoon, and then runs through Honningville, and then up this way to Narfingburg Springs, where again, it will use the central platform. The more I look at this, though, the more I'm wondering... should it? I know I'm awkward like that. Because I think the North Valleys line has a service that loops around here as well. The Northwestern, that's what it's called, which uses the North Valleys line. So it might be a case of that gets curtailed. It might terminate at Honningville instead. The more I think about it, the more I actually want to do that. So I'm going to change that. We're doing it live, folks. We are doing it live. And in here, I need to remove those last two stations. There we go. Then we've got GSE to Punfingford, where we just were. And in fact, this one might run through to Punfingford T3, which is the one I was just looking at. This one stops, I think... oh, no, wait, it doesn't. Sorry, it doesn't. This one doesn't. No, it doesn't. I'm confusing myself now. This one runs this way, if I recall. Yes. And it runs through Flame Junction. So it comes along here, along here, along here. I think it stops at every station along the way. Although, saying that, it does skip Flame South, which is this one here. Which isn't actually... I mean, it's south of the town centre, but it's west, really. Then it goes across these this pair of tracks here, into Flame, straight on here, along this cross-country, cross-link connection thing. And then at this point, it runs along the main line, the main Great Northern line here. And then uses these outer platforms here to then cross through Great Barnville and into the airport. Now, because the airport's getting rebuilt, Great Barnville will probably get rebuilt as well, because it doesn't need these extra platforms here anymore. Although, I do like the idea of having this flyover track. I just think it only needs one platform here instead of two. And actually, I do like this look here with the sidings here and all sorts. So I'm really tempted to try and keep some of this. And even on the north side here, I kind of like the way that these tracks work too. So maybe I won't mess around with that too much. Maybe I will have this one use Great Barnville. I think I'll just shave off this excess platform and have it as a 3-platform station instead. And then the town can actually grow right up to the limit here. And then I might just leave Punfingford as is. And then have the GSE trains use these 2 platforms here. That's not a bad idea. Then we have a train that runs up to Honningville. And that actually uses the branch from Donborough. So it runs through here, through Wafingford, all that stuff. And again, this will use the new platform configuration over here at Honningville. The main thing here is to turn these bays into through platforms so that trains from the south here, off the branch, can use them. But also trains on the Northwestern franchise, either from Sunnington or heading out this way, can also use them. So, yeah, it's basically going to be This one here has a through configuration, and there'll be 3 more maybe, all configured the same, and then they will all connect up over here, not necessarily to the main line. I think that's the way to go, and then the rest of the station can pretty much stay as it is because there's no reason to tweak it. This platform here will be used for those terminating trains off of this pair of lines here, so it'll actually use this set of tracks and won't even get in the way of the main line. That's the theory. Whether or not that ends up working, we'll see. The next one, so we've done the Honingville one, the Dronnington and Tenfing Bridge one. So that is just an all stopper, and it actually stops at, no it doesn't, sorry, false alarm. I keep trying to, because this is Menwell City North and this is Menwell City South. They are 2 separate stations with 2 separate bus terminals, and only one service from each direction here will actually use them, mainly to stop conflicts and things. But again, the resolver should actually fix that. This stops at all stations except Menwell City, and runs up through Padwood and then this way, and will terminate at Dronnington and Tenfing Bridge, which will also get a rebuild, mainly to remove these 4 platforms here. We don't need them. The way this new system's going to work, even with the Centrelink trains running through here, we probably don't even need this pair here either. So it's going to be these 6 platforms and then a through track here, which would be to and from the depot, and that's it. That's all we'll have. Everything else should be able to you know, navigate its way through here. All of these junctions and stuff, and you can see here this is the old signal method as well, where each one brought the speed down by 10 miles an hour. We don't need that anymore. It's awesome. It works so well. Then we have the all stopper, which goes through Menwell City South, and this stops at every single station up to, sorry, that's really janky the way I was doing that, Padwood here, and then it uses this bay platform right here. Then we have the same thing where it stops at Menwell City North instead of South, and again all stops including Flaham South, and that terminates at Flaham Junction, and that might even use this siding here as a turnaround point. So it will come in, drop off passengers, use the turn back, and then come out, pick up passengers, and off it goes again. You may remember from last episode I had a couple of services do that on the Western Reaches, and I took that option out because I wasn't sure it would work. Now I believe it will work. I'm going to put it back in. And then the final service we have starts at Dronnington and Tenfing Bridge. It is the only West Wind service that doesn't start at GSE. It starts here at Dronnington and Tenfing Bridge, and it runs all the way up the main line, stopping at every single station along the way, and goes up to Sunnington. So actually, this is the only train that's going to connect the Western Reaches with the West Winds right now, because the rest don't reach Sunnington. Oh no, this one does. Sorry, there are 2 trains that reach Sunnington. I tell a lie. So, with all of that in mind, and with all of that explained, we should probably start rebuilding some of this. The platform layout here at GSE, I do kind of want to change, but I don't really know how. These platforms here are way too long for a start, so that could be an option to make this junction a little bit more spread out. So right now you see we've got these like drastic crossovers, whereas here I can have, you know, one gap, one, and then the platform actually starts back here. That brings it more in line with the HLR here as well. The main focus that I want to do though, and that's probably what's going to be on camera in just a second, is the depot over here at Dronnington and Tenfing Bridge. So we've actually got 2 depots here. We've got Tenfing Bridge Gardcity Connect depot, which I believe George will be using at some point in the future, and then we've got Dronnington North depot here. Actually, this might be a separate one as well. Yeah, that's South depot, and then these I guess are also, yep, separate things. All of that's going to get removed and redone, and as I said before, we don't need anywhere near this many through tracks now, so a lot of these are going to become sidings and things like that. And this might get a rename as well to just Dronnington Lake, possibly, like the Moningpool Lake one. We'll see. I haven't really come up with many plans for this yet, but because trains are going to trickle in here and trickle out here, there will be a lot of trains trickling in and trickling out of here, but hopefully it will all make sense. Fingers crossed on that one. Also, this junction here, I think, can get tidied up a lot as well. Because as far as I'm aware, if this is going to be the Centrelink depot, first of all, we can make this look better as well. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm only going to focus on the ones that I'm actually going to be using today. I think here, these trains are all going to use this one here and then run into either the station itself or through onto the branch. So that's all fine. The one that is going to stop here and then head up towards Sunnington, that can just use one of these two platforms anyway. So that's also fine. Which means the Centrelink one will need to use this track here if it's going up to Sunnington. I guess this one if it's heading to Beffing Way. But we can make this look nicer and neater and tidier. I think originally it actually had an extra platform at B-Town or something like that. I can't really remember off the top of my head. It did something weird. And then joined up. But yeah, this link here, I don't think we actually need it anymore. I might just leave it for completion's sake, but I'm not sure if it's actually necessary. And the main thing is we need to re-signal the line here as well. So I think we're going to rebuild this depot, re-signal the entire line, and then we can start looking at running timing trains. We can do all of that before we even head over here to GSG and start looking at running timing trains and stuff here. So they're going to use this set of platforms here. A lot of this is going to get changed. I think here will be where it runs down to 2 tracks, and then this can then be reconfigured slightly. The fast tracks jumping over, that's all fine. This whole section here actually is basically fine. This is a mess, but I've had a really long hard look at how I would even go about fixing this, and I cannot for the life of me think it through in a way that works. So we might just leave it as is. But this depot access over here is going to get changed. The depot itself is going to get changed. I think it's actually going to get rebuilt in this direction, possibly. And that's going to be for the Grand Northern Express trains. And then this depot is going to get a huge rebuild somewhere, possibly where it is, if not elsewhere. And we might use just the crossovers here to access it. And that's going to be for the commuter trains operating out of here. And then this, as I said, this 6-track main line here, I think is actually going to get reduced to 4. We'll see about that, because it works well as 6 and it looks cool. Actually, the more I think about it, the more I'm going to leave it at 6, because Dontborough here is the point where it separates and goes back down to 4 and 2 again, and I do like that. So I think we're going to leave it. Yeah, I think we're going to leave it. I keep talking, don't I? I just keep talking. This here is going to get rebuilt. This is going to become flat, and I think we are going to use the crossovers, and then that can tidy up and stuff a little bit more as well. I have got ideas for how I want this one to look, but we're not going to get to that for quite a bit of today's episode. And then once all the timing trains have been run, we can then use the conflict detector and basically do an all-in-one. We're going to get all of the West Winds, all of the Great Northern planned at the same time and running at the same time, because they're going to use pretty similar rolling stock as well. So it makes sense to do that. There was also a part of me that was actually very tempted to have this depot over here be for both West Winds and Grand Central. What's it called? Great Northern. Come on, Mark. But it didn't really compute when I started looking at it a bit more carefully. So we're not going to do that. But yeah, we're going to do it all in one. And that does also mean we need to use the Western Reaches services here just to make sure there are no conflicts when we get to Sunnington, which there shouldn't be, because the new services use this part of the station and the current services use this part of the station. So there shouldn't be any issues, but it's just a check. And that's basically how it's going to go from now on. All the ones that have already been run through the detector, if at any point they interact with other services, they're going to have to run through the detector again to make sure that there's no issues. But I think I mentioned this last time as well anyway. I do have a contingency things set up so that if something has already been run through the detector, the chances of it being changed are much, much lower. There's actually a penalty in place that accounts for that. Anyway, stop talking, Mark. Start building. So yeah, we're going to skip all of the Great Northern for now. We're going to head back to GSE, which I can never find on the map. And we're going to start looking at resignaling all of this. Can't speak. And rebuilding where needed. So GSE, I think, is going to be the first candidate on this. Need to get my old checkbook out again for the local authority. We're going to get the junctions here and everything looking a lot nicer. This might get cut down from 6 down to 4, or at least 5. We'll cut off this last track here, which is something actually to distract myself again. I did do over here at GSMI. You can see I've used the lifted track, new GRF. And I did a similar thing over towards Sunnington as well, and down towards Plindham Junction. So the signals have all been left in situ, but obviously decommissioned. The track's been left in situ. Heritage Railway might pick it up one day, who knows. Or the track bed, I should say. The actual track, as you can see, has been lifted apart from this bit, because that would also affect this bit, and I didn't want to touch it. And then, yeah, it just makes it a lot easier and a lot tidier. And I've also reconfigured the waypoints here slightly as well. Stop talking, Mark. Start building. So yeah, we're going to redo St. Elizabeth. We might consolidate this down to 5 tracks, if not 4. This will then get slightly changed to match that. And then this, I'm really tempted to rebuild these stations with 2 platforms just to make my life a lot easier. We'll see about that as well. And then this track here can definitely get removed, and it'll go 4 and 4. But again, I've got an idea for this, which might see something else change as well. Stop talking, Mark. Let's get building. Whoo boy, that was rough. That was a massive, massive rebuild of quite a lot of things, some of which you've seen, some of which you haven't, like the rebuild of Plintbridge Parkway here, which is now an elevated station. It actually sits on an embankment. The reason I did this was to elevate the main line here. Previously we had the dive under for the depot going underneath the main lines. I liked the idea of having the main line here elevated. We had to lower it down here though because of the high-speed lines here. We wouldn't be able to have all 6 tracks. As you can see, I have kept all 6 tracks. I like it. I like it a lot. There's a lot that's different now on this map, just from this episode alone, which I think is a good thing. It shows progression, it shows, you know, evolution and all that good stuff. I'm just putting that bridge back in as well. There we go. And yeah, it shows that, you know, the network is now taking a new direction and is heading in an exciting direction. Just to repeat myself there for some reason. What have we built then? Let's go over all of it. So, out of Gardcity St. Elizabeth, which is over here, one thing I did was rebuild the station, which I think was in the time lapse. Again, this has been over 3 or 4 days that I've recorded this now, so if I forget something, then I apologise. Off camera, I think I did add some more tweaks here. So we've now got a station building, which looks awesome. We shortened the platforms in order to accommodate that. I did also move these tunnel portals back a tile and all these signals, and then rebuilt the junction here. Excuse me, just so I can make sure that the platforms here were still a good length. I believe these central ones are 6. Yeah, and 6 is the golden number for these, because if we ran 3 4-car units coupled together, that's a 6 tile long train. So we needed to make sure that we had 6 tiles capacity at these stations, and that's also why some of the depots look a little bit stretched as well, for that reason too. Coming through the tunnel here then, all of this is pretty much the same. This over here got rebuilt. I think I did this off camera. I reconfigured the lines here so they now come in this direction. What that does mean though is this train here will always have to switch that way or that way, because this is the one-way track. I could change that actually and have it pointed to this one instead. Why don't I do that? So we'll do this and then swap that back and remove that. Same thing over here. I might as well do that too. So we'll do that. Swap that to that and then reset. Over here it's less important because the trains are going to be a lot slower anyway, and also it means they can be accessed. In fact, the only tracks that can't access it are these 2 over here. Hopefully that doesn't cause any issues. We shall see. So yeah, all of this is new. This way over here, I removed that tunnel that I was talking about, that pesky tunnel, so it's now a lot more realistic looking. I did that elsewhere as well. You'll see some huge brown stains on the landscape. I also did some reconfiguring over here, but not too much. Decided to leave it mostly intact because I quite liked it. And then up this way to Drunnington and Tenfing Bridge, we've got this, which is a massive eyesore right now. But I will go through and add some eye candy to the majority of this. Try and make it look nicer. And again, these are all 6 tile long to accommodate the longer trains. If I need more track space and less train space, so you know, if we're only running 8-car units, for example, then I will shorten some of these and then use the space to add some more storage tracks. But right now, I think it looks pretty cool. There's actually 3 depots here. There's this one, which is Drunnington South. There's this one, which is Drunnington Central. And then there's this one, which is Tenfing Bridge, Gardcity Connect. So George, if you're watching, this will be yours if you want it. This will be, every single one of these tracks facing south is your depot. And then this could be used for all Gardcity Connect services, including the ones out to Beffing Way and beyond. Yeah, lots of storage tracks. Then we've got Drunnington and Tenfing Bridge itself, which has been rebuilt. These platforms over here are now gone. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 platforms here, which I think is more than enough for what we're doing. Also reconfigured the approaches here slightly. Again, you can see where tracks have changed. Everything else along here, I believe, is unchanged. I did dig a river through Denningwell, but that's, you know, no major changes there. Oh, and I reconfigured the tracks here slightly just to increase the running speed. We do still have a slowdown. It goes down to, actually that's 45. I think it could be a bit faster than that, but maybe I'll leave it like that for now. He says, thinking maybe that's not a good idea. I think 45 is pretty much the blanket speed limit for most of these curves. You'll see it again in a second on the Great Northern. And then I rebuilt the approaches here at Mewood, which again I don't think was on camera, but it was bugging me how this looked. So I've tweaked it all now and done all the speed limit changes and things like that. We've kept the configuration. So we've got fast, then we've got slow, North Valleys, slow. And I think it just looks cool. The North Valleys is one of the lines we'll be working on in the next couple of episodes. So starting to work on that as I'm doing this gives me less to do later on. Out of Padwood in the other direction, which is this one. This is the big change here. Made this tunnel a lot shorter. I'm going to remove that coal mine as well because it looks like it's clinging on for dear life. Also, you wouldn't really have a coal mine built above a railway tunnel. That's not very realistic. This over here, this junction has been tweaked slightly. Yeah. 35 miles an hour. I think it actually should go down to 25. The alternative is I just do it along there. But I think the way the signals were spaced, it made more sense to have it here. Maybe I'll just leave that. We'll have it slow down to 35. Again, this will be a town eventually. It will grow up around all this again. The scars of the landscape will heal. So Trinninghall and Nenfingley, they will, you know, the towns themselves won't. I'll have to build the roads myself. But it will grow and it will recover and all that stuff. And same thing over here. We used to have a really long tunnel that carved through the hill here out to St Halter. What I've now done is built a bypass around, which means technically we could have another station over here if I so wished. Because I believe Futbourne, which is an awful name, doesn't actually have a station. So we could have one on both tracks if we so wanted. But I think one here wouldn't hurt. Maybe. We'll see. If not, it'll just go from here over to St Halter. And to be honest, I'm leaning more towards that one now. I've said it out loud. And then everything else along here has been rebuilt, reconfigured. We removed the depot connection for the freight trains here because we just don't need it. If I run trains smartly, freight trains will come through Honingville this way and then out onto the North Valleys line in this direction, and therefore they won't have to go through Narfingburg Springs and such like. Honingville itself has been a massive change here. We've now got all of these platforms as bi-directional, although some of them are technically unidirectional still, in that trains can only access these two platforms if they are then reversing back down onto the branch line here. One thing I haven't actually done is the branch line, so I'll have to go and do that in just a second. I'll do a note to self there. This has all been changed. The factory here, which will be the North Valleys, one of the North Valleys depots, and the sidings here, which I haven't yet decided what this will be used for, but we have got the depot here in place. Maybe what I'll do is have this as the non-electrified side of things, and then have this as the electrified, or vice versa. We'll see. And yeah, Honingville, massive change. The junction here as well has been reconfigured. Some of the stations have moved slightly. Sindwood was one of them. I think the platforms originally came down this way, whereas now they're up here. And then the other big rebuild is over here at Punfingford, and I'm a big fan of this one. I like this one a lot. I was considering, and I think I even said I was going to leave the station with the design that it had, but the more I looked at it, the more I thought putting that configuration of station into the conflict detector would be a pain. Trying to tell it, you know, this is platform 1, this is still platform 1, but it's a different platform 1. That would be a pain. Maybe I'd have an option somewhere where I could just tick a box that says, you know, this platform is technically 2 platforms in 1, so 2 trains can occupy it at the same time. Because that's what's happened. That's what happens in the real world, you know. Cambridge springs to mind. They have a platform there that's technically 2, and it has a crossover in the middle. So designed very similar to what I build in Transport Fever as well. So we could maybe, because I know there are other stations on the network that have that design, but for here I thought might as well rebuild it. We're not having that many trains running through here, And also the terminus, the terminus bit over here has been rebuilt. You wouldn't actually know that the station used to have extra platforms here. Obviously the ground gives it away right now, but the way that the junctions are laid out and everything, you wouldn't actually know it. I'm kind of happy with how that's turned out. And again, a little bit of rebuilding here. Reconfigured this curve here through Eddingbourne. Eddingbourne love me for some reason, I don't know why. Cornley, not so much. Tunfing Bridge, there may have been some brown envelopes involved. To get them back on side, and then reconfigured this curve, rebuilt the lines here through Don'tborough. So this is now 6 tracks completely. There are no extra crossovers, and that is the same actually. I rebuilt this bit here as well. That is the same right the way down through here. There are 6 tracks. There are no crossovers between them, which I think was the best way to do it. And then over at GSG, I also did a little bit of reconfiguring here just to tidy things up. So the slow lines, we've got new bridges across here, first of all. The through lines here, which again, George will be using, they are now much nicer, much better configured. The signaling has improved. This junction over here is a lot neater now. Again, it sounds really stupid. I don't like railway bridges where the, where's a good example? I think the HLR has one down on the southern side here. Yeah, this. I don't like these off-ramps on railway bridges. Don't mind them on road bridges, but railway bridges, it bothers me. So I like to have the natural embankment, which can cause problems. Like over here, I had to move a ship depot, which meant I had to reroute, I think it was 35 ships to this depot over here. Excuse me. I keep getting hiccup. I think it's when I talk too much. Boy, do I talk a lot when I'm making these videos. So yeah, this is now a flyover. This is now a flyover. And then, of course, over here at Plint Bridge, we've got the new depots. This is Plint Bridge Common. It says north. There is a possibility that we'll have another depot, a southern one, in the future. This is more than enough, though, for Grand Northern. This is, what's this? 22 tracks, which means there's 22 trains that can squeeze in here. I don't see us needing more than that, in all honesty. If we do, I've done something wrong. Let's put it that way. Because the entirety of the Western reaches north, which is over here. So Carnwell's quite big, but that's been built with future expansion in mind. But Monningpool Falls, up here, it's quite stretched, I'll give you that. But that is, what, 5 tracks there, which are actually inaccessible. So there's 5 here. That takes it up to 9. And then another 4, that's 13. 7 there is 20. So there's only 20 tracks. And then there's 2 trains over here. So there's 22 trains stored in this. So 22 should be more than enough. It should be way more than enough. But you just never know. And then, of course, the one you've just seen me build, which is Gunway Motive Power Depot. This, again, we've got 6s, we've got 4s. There's a couple of 5s thrown in as well for good measure. And then we've got this huge set of sheds at the back, which is all 6 track. Some of that might get chopped back. We'll see. But again, it's just in case we have the really long units. Speaking of long units, we should probably... Whoops, that's the wrong thing. We should probably look at rolling stock for this. I'm going to choose the rolling stock now for both the Great Northern and West Winds. And I think we're going to go with the oldie stuff. Like 310s, 305s. Because they've got quite good capacity, all things considered. What's the biggest one? 315s as well, although they're quite small. The one I'm annoyed about, we don't have 313s. I think there are 313s somewhere though. I might have to go digging for them. What that means is, running trains to Bartholomew Square is going to be tricky, because here at Runfingwell, the voltage changes from overhead to third rail, and we don't have, the only train we have that can actually do that right now is the 319. Technically the Eurostar as well, but we're obviously not going to run those. So I might have to use 319s along this branch, which is less than ideal, but we might not have a choice. Do I need this waypoint here? I don't actually think I do. I also haven't actually re-signaled this branch either, so I'm going to do that in a minute as well. But yeah, I think we're going to use oldie rolling stock for this. Pack people on, dense commuter, multiple units coupled together, and yeah, go from there. Before I put a cut in here, I'm just going to go through the Great Northern stopping patterns with you as well, because I've already done the West Winds ones. So we've got in total 5 stopping, 2 semi-fast, and an express. And if you've watched the channel for a long time, you'll know what the express one is, but I'll cross that bridge when we come to it in just a moment. First of all, let's talk the stopping ones. So the first one is GSG down here up to Honingville, which is all the way up here, and that runs via the branch, this branch over here. So it's all stops basically up to Honingville, and then that will occupy one of these 4 platforms over here. The next one is Gardcity St George to Gardcity Puntingford Airport, but it's not Terminal 1 like it used to be, it's Terminal 3, which is the one over here that I forgot existed, in all honesty. I was doing some building work and I sort of looked over here, I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. So that's now included. And that stops, I believe, again at all stops. Yes, all stops along the route. Then we've got Bartholomew Square to Narfingburg Springs, and that also takes the branch over this way, and that's an all-stopper. Then we've got Bartholomew Square to Honingville, and that's also an all-stopper. So when we get to here, instead of this using the dive under and coming up here and through this way, it instead goes into these platforms over here. Then we've got Bartholomew to Puntingford Terminal 1, and that uses these platforms over here. In terms of the semi-fast, we've got a GSG to Warnbridge Airport, which is the one at the top of the hill over here, which has also seen a little bit of reconfiguring. That was done off camera. And then we've got a Gardcity to Narfingburg Springs, which again, it takes a more direct route to Honingville here, and then it takes the branch up to Narfingburg Springs. Now that might get cut short, because I think we've got, I know there's 2 services to Narfingburg, but we've also got a West Winds one to Narfingburg, which I actually, did I cut that back? Yeah, I cut that back to Honingville. So that's actually possible. We could have the 2 to Narfingburg Springs. And then the express is the Airport Express. So originally it ran from GSG up to T1. Then it got extended to T3. Now it actually is extended even further. So it goes from Gardcity St George to Honingville. Not Honingville, sorry, to Puntingford non-stop. And then from here it runs non-stop to Warnbridge, and it terminates here. So it connects 2 airports up to GSG. Eventually, when the Gardcity Connect franchise starts, that might change, because Warnbridge, Puntingford, through Gardcity and out this way to, what one are you? Rinston. And there is another airport, I think, that's connected up as well. That will all be connected by one service, potentially. So there's no reason to have the express. Although saying that, there's always a reason to have an express. So we'll see about that. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. If I have to remove that service to allow someone else to run theirs, that's absolutely fine. Me saying that, though, if you're out there and you want to run this franchise yourself, become a member or a YouTube, become a Patreon supporter or a YouTube member today, and it's yours. You can have it if you wish. And then you can run whatever services you like. So entirely up to you. Just one more thing. I'm noticing there's no crossover here. So I'm just going to add that in. These new simplified junctions, they are stretched out a lot. The one at Plint Bridge, for example, it annoys me a little bit. North and south. Just feels really stretched out. But in order to get these ladders in, like this, that's what you have to do. And it does make it look a lot cleaner and tidier, rather than having all of these tracks crisscrossing. And the idea here is that most trains will just be going straight on anyway, so it doesn't matter too much in that respect. Right, I need to go plan out some services, run some timing trains, complete the signalling projects and all that stuff. So I will see you again in just a moment, which for me will probably be like 4 days again. But for you, it's just a click of the fingers. So I said it would take 4 days. It actually took a week and a half to get all of this done. I admit I dragged my feet a little bit on some of it. And I also had a couple of other little tech issues that I had to resolve. And in doing all of this, I have discovered some problems. But they're not necessarily bad problems. I'll talk about those more in just a second. I'm over here at GSG, and you'll see we have some trains running. If I hit the departures board here, you will see, and you watch now as I can't find any of them. I've seen one already. Here, Honningville, Warnbridge Airport, and then it cuts off. But there are other ones. These ones here, in fact. And actually, this only covers 7 minutes, this departure board here. I need to increase that, actually. I think it's here. Yeah. Let's bump this up to like 25, shall we? Now, we should be able to see some more trains. Perfect. So as I said, Honningville, Warnbridge Airport, and again, it cuts off. Even then, this is only 12 minutes. That's quite insane, isn't it? This is nowhere near fully populated either, as you can see. We've got all the express platforms. We've got the 6 through platforms here. And we've still got the 6 overground platforms down here to populate. And that's not including getting the bus and the tram and all that stuff sorted either. So this is going to be busy by the time it's fully up and running. It is going to be very, very busy indeed. Let me give you the rundown then. We have 17 new services joining the network as of this episode, thanks to the addition of the Gardcity Great Northern and the West Winds, which is over here, and also is fully up and running. Now this one I can show you, and it is a lot better. So we've got, that's a HLR train, Dronnington and Tenfing Bridge, Gardcity Puntingford Airport, Padwood Junction, Flayham Junction, Honningville, and another Honningville, which I think is, yeah, part of a different journey. The fact they leave 6 minutes apart, that was unintentional. If I gave you more of an insight into how the conflict detector works, one of the things it does when it's resolving conflicts is it either makes a small adjustment to an existing stop. So here, for example, actually that's a bad example. Let's say here, Menwell City North. Let's say the train stops here for 30 seconds. It may adjust that. So we won't use seconds anymore, we'll use minutes. So it's half a minute, 0.5 of a minute. It may adjust that to 1 minute or 0.75 minutes. And then it will check to see how many conflicts that resolves, or if it introduces new conflicts. If it introduces new ones, the suggestion is rejected. If it resolves a majority of conflicts, or there's a score system that's in place, if the score improves, then it may accept it. It doesn't always, but it's more likely to accept it if that's the case. That's one way that the process works. The other way is it will take the departure time from the origin station here. So what is it now? 20:08. Let's say it's 6:08, just for the benefit of argument. It may add a minute to that. So instead of departing at 6:08, it departs at 6:09. And then again, it goes through the whole thing and sees how many conflicts it's resolved. In doing that, because I actually planned out services here so that the Honningville trains, both of them. Actually, no, I don't think it was the Honningville trains. I think it was... Oh, that's the wrong station. I think it was the Launceston and Honningville trains. And I can't even see... Oh, there's a Launceston train. What is the difference there? So, yeah, that's 8 minutes now. That used to be 15 because these are half-hourly, all of these. So I had them offset. And that's because one goes up. Oh, man. So, yeah, this is one of the issues I was talking about. This. Because you're leaving at own... Was that the exact same time? Yeah, this shouldn't be happening. This and this. These two here shouldn't be conflicting like that. So something has gone slightly amiss with that. The other issue... did that also say there was another one that was delayed? Down here, or did I just see things? I think I just saw things. The other issue, which is the other major issue, there was some queuing over here at Don'tborough on the branch platform, which may have now been resolved. Nope, it's these two, the Narfingburg Springs and the Honningville one. The Nottingburg Springs one is in the platform, and the Honingville one comes up behind it and has to wait. Again, I think I know what's caused that. The real issue is over here, and I think I've timed this just incorrectly because it will have just pulled in. But this one here leaves at 17. The one after it arrives at 16, and there's only one platform. There's a reason behind this, and behind the other stuff as well. We'll come to that in just a second. The real bad one is this one leaves at 39, and the one after it arrives at 34. Now, the reason this is happening is because I have what's called the station capabilities screen, where myself or you as the user, when you're inputting all of your schedules to be detected and resolved, you have to tell the program what the layout of each station is. So as you can see here, we've got 3 platforms, and it's the central platform that's the terminus. Unfortunately, the way that the program works is it uses chains. So I think I've told you what chains are before. This is previous, this is current, and then this would be next, and that indicates a terminus, or Launceston over here would be next, and that'll indicate a through. It only uses the chains that are created by the uploaded schedules, and at the time of creating all of this, I didn't actually have a train that ran from Launceston through to Nottingburg Springs. So I could only tell the program what one of these platforms was for, and that's the center one here. So it knows there's 3 platforms, and it knows in each case what platform 2 is, which is the central one, but I couldn't set it up for platforms 1 and 3. So I need to go and add a undefined chain or something like that for the middle option, or I don't know. I need to add that in somewhere, and that will help fix that problem. Besides that, though, the other issue, the one over here at Don'tborough, and the one you just saw between Flame and GSE, that's caused by headways. So I actually have headways built into the resolution part of the program, but I think for stopping services, which those 2 likely would have been, I think it was only set to a minute, whereas now I've got it set to, I think it's 2.5 minutes, which means trains must run 2.5 minutes apart. It varies according to service designator, so I think freight I've now set to 10 minutes. Express was 10 minutes as well, I believe, and then it slowly staircases down, and Metro is, I think, 1 minute or 1 minute and a half, because their signals are a lot closer together. For example, here these signals are 12 apart, although these ones, actually no, yeah, they look 12 apart, whereas the Metro ones on the HLR are a lot closer. I think they're 8 apart, maybe even closer than that. So yeah, and you remember from the start of this episode I mentioned about over here, and I think, are they about to demonstrate it for me? No, they are not. But yeah, over here there's an issue where this train catches up with the one in front just a little too much. There are lots of improvements that can be made to this program. I'm not going to lie and say that it's perfect. It's not. The main point really was to get it working. And actually, when I was doing all of the timetabling and stuff just now, and as I say just now, I mean over the last few days, I realized that because on my station capabilities thing, there is an option to download all of the capabilities that you've already put in. And eventually, I think I might actually make it its own program, so I can just go in and put all of the stations on the network. So like GSG here, it's only these 5 platforms that are currently in. Let me show you that a little bit better. It's only these 5 platforms here for the Great Northern franchise that are actually in the station capabilities right now, and the 3 HLR ones, of course. The high-speed ones aren't, so that needs doing. And the 6 through here, and the express ones here, and the overground ones, they're not in there right now. So when I was doing this, I just had to tell GSG that there were 5 platforms. That was it. That was all I could do, because I don't have the chains right now for the rest of them. So I'm going to have to go and make my own standalone version of the station capabilities program. And with that, put in all of the stations here and what they are able to do. There may be changes and stuff as part of that, you know, it varies. But anyway, to go back onto my circle before I tangented off, if that's a word, you can download the capabilities. You can download it as a JSON file, which you then upload into the conflict detector, and it uses that data. So that's all it is ones and zeros and text and things. You're just telling the program how the stations are laid out. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, when I was doing the West Winds, not the West Winds, sorry, the Western Reaches over here, I'd already gone through the station capabilities section of the program, and I'd saved it. I downloaded the file. So I was just uploading that file again and again and again, and I hadn't realized when I fixed the program to get the conflict detection side of it to work that it actually balked the station capabilities, and I no longer had the option to actually input them from scratch. So I had to rewrite that entire part of the program to get it to work again, which I think took less than an hour in the end, but at the time, lots of swearing, lots of fretting and stressful moments and things. And then when I actually realized what the issue was, I think it was one line of code that was making something stay hidden when it was supposed to be revealed. Boy, was that a huge relief. Anyway, sorry, loads of tangents. I'm very, very happy with this still. A couple of episodes ago, I described it as the greatest thing I've ever done. And I still stand by that, to be honest. This is the greatest thing I've ever done, because now I can somewhat realistically timetable trains. And I say somewhat because you've already seen there are a couple of issues. A couple of other little issues that I had, which I think have sorted themselves out now. GSG was the main culprit for this one. When I released all the trains, I couldn't be bothered to do them one at a time, because actually there are still trains in the depot here. These are the depot timing trains. So if I ever want to run a train from... I'm trying to remember which one this is. I think this is the 321. Yes, Dusty Bin, as they call it. If I ever want to run another service out of GSG using the class 321, this already has the journey to and from the depot saved. All the journey times, travel times, all that stuff. The stop times here, although they do get changed later on. But everything is locked. It is all secure. And that also means if someone else comes on and wants to do it as well, they can refer to those figures, because that unit will always take that amount of time to run. So because those are still there, I didn't want to have to sit here and click go, go, go in case I accidentally, which I very nearly did then, accidentally release one of these. So what I did was I just paused the game, hit the green button there, and then stopped these ones individually. So they all came out in a random order. And because of that, they occupied these sidings in a random order, which meant one train that ended up right at the back here that was supposed to be one of the first trains of the day to depart to run its service couldn't. And as a result, it was sat here in the depot. It was meant to be running the 6:07 service, I believe, out of GSG, and it was still sat here at like 10 past 11, which is stupid. So that's now hopefully been fixed, because I'm anticipating that the first train into the depot will either be the first train of the next day or the second. So therefore it will occupy one of the front sidings, and they'll basically load up in the order that they'll then unload the next day. That's the theory. Whether or not that works, I don't know. We'll find out when the game hits tomorrow. But this is all seemingly working very, very well. And, you know, Plint Bridge, which I was worried about as being quite a busy station, because it's where the 3 services from Bartholomew Square come out here, and they join up with the 5 services from GSG. And there's another one that is, yeah, you're running only a minute late, actually, which is impressive considering. I think you're the one that arrived 5 minutes late. What was I saying? Can't remember what I was saying. Oh yeah, we have 8 services that run through here. But if I show you this, they actually all run pretty much perfectly. I think there is one other instance of a train that waits to occupy one of these platforms. If I fast forward it here, so we've got the Honingville train that's about to arrive, and then we've got a Puntingford train that's coming in. Actually, no, that's all very good. This is the Finsbury Park of the network, as you can see, and I think it takes up that mantra quite nicely. One other thing I've just realised, if I can do it, this just temporarily, if I undo the share there for a second, if entry direction is from the back, this will get undone next episode because we are going to have trains running straight through here, at which point the station capabilities can be updated. If next order is this, then deny, allow. I don't need to change the speed limit because this is already running down at 20, I guess. So that's all fine. And then this is also now fine because entering from the front, yep, everything's hunky-dory. So here now, these two platforms will be occupied. But again, I will undo this next episode. So yeah, to go back to what I was saying about the station capabilities, I do want that to be a standalone thing because then I can just go ahead and add a ton of stations to that and how they're going to be set up to operate. So like Honningville here works really well, and Punfingford, obviously, this was never going to not work well. Let's be honest, it's got so many platforms. We've actually got another bay platform here as well. So again, George, if you want to run services that start here and then run through the city, maybe like an Airport Express, I think I mentioned that earlier, go for it. The other one, which I find funny, because it only happens every so often here at Warnbridge. Again, if I was to do this, so we've got the GSG one, which is this train here, which is just leaving. There you go, that's good timing, isn't it? The one behind it, I believe, is this one. And then if I hit empty here as well, you'll see, yeah, these two here, they arrive 3 minutes apart, and that's the express and the semi-fast. Even though the semi-fast, I think, actually leaves like, I want to say like 15 minutes before. But again, that might have been pushed slightly. I'm sure it's at least 10 minutes before. And yet they arrive 3 minutes apart. And that's the same every half an hour. And then here, the express train actually leaves first. 20 minutes before this one. So it sits there. Again, if I show you here, it sits there for quite some time. It arrives at 33 and it leaves at 44. Whereas this arrives at 06. Actually, that's 23 minutes. So I guess it's the express ones that overlap that I saw before. But yeah, there are 3 platforms here still for trains to run through. And again, we'll be testing that next episode. But I still find it fascinating that this gets so occupied by various trains. Right, I suppose we'll wrap this one up with a quick summation of all the rolling stock that we've introduced as well. So out of GSE, that's really easy. Where is GSE? I always lose it. Every train here is a 305-2 or /2. Where is there? There you go. 305/2. It's also known as an AM5, but we go with the BR classification. The TOPS numbers, that's the one I was looking for. Because BR, some of these classes, so like the modern day ones, like the 700, let's say, it's not a BR class 700 because they never existed when BR was a thing. But everyone just, I think, even I do it subconsciously, it's a BR class. It's not, but it is, you know. Anyway, to stop talking rubbish for a second, TOPS numbers, this is a 305-2. And again, every single unit, including the ones that are coupled. So this train here is 305-587, which is the front unit, but the back unit also has a number. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but they are stored in the database. So one day when that's available, you can go check that out for yourselves. Yeah, they are all 305s. Most of them are coupled. They're in pairs. The ones to Padwood Junction and Flaham Junction, which are the 2 little shuttles. So like Flaham Junction is just over here. That service will get replaced in the future because there'll be an overground service from GST, which is here. And it'll go round the overground loop via, yeah, this set of tracks. And that will terminate at GSE, which I've lost again here. And that will replace the Flaham service. Because there's no point having the little shuttle if we've got... Excuse me. Hiccups again, honestly. There's no point having the little shuttle when you've got an overground service that's probably going to run even, more frequently, like every 10 minutes or something like that. And then the Padwood one is over here and right on cue. There it is in the bay. That's just going to stay running, I think, because Padwood is somewhat of an important station. He says, yeah, it's where the two main lines diverge, and this one especially through the middle here, that is the main line, even though the West Winds line itself is this one over to Drunnington and Tenfing Bridge, which also works really well as a station, by the way. I think there's one close call, but otherwise it's pretty straightforward. It all works, apart from those couple of little issues, which I think what I'm going to do, because I've changed the headways and stuff now as well, so I think what I'm going to do at some point is just run everything through the conflict detector again, which may result in things having to be moved slightly on all the existing services, but I think it's worth doing. So we'll see about that, but it might be in a couple of episodes' time. As for the Great Northern then, we have 3 unit types, I should say, operating on here. So the main services out of GSG, which are the express up to Warnbridge Airport and the 2 semi-fasts, one to Warnbridge and one to Narfingburg Springs, they are operated by Class 321s, which are these ones here. Again, they're all in pairs, they've all been numbered, they've all been united up, and they're all on the database. These are a really good unit, by the way. Really well drawn. Like I was about to say the pantograph, but no, that is actually the overhead there, but the pantograph there is actually really well detailed as well. I love it. The BR Trains team, again, very, very, very talented. I tried to join. I realised I was way out of my depth, and now I just sit and cheer from the sidelines. But yeah, we got 3 lots of 321s operating those services. We've then got 315s, which are here. They operate the more suburban commuter type services. What's the capacity of these? 318. So it's not massive. Again, I wanted to run these in 3s, but some of the stations along the route, less so on this line actually, because this was built to 6 tile long stations. Like Gunway, there is actually, maybe I will add a 3rd unit to some of these, just that extra capacity. But I believe some of the stations on the branch here are only 5 tiles long. Yeah, I'm seeing that already. So maybe we'll just keep it to the mainline ones this way, because I believe these are all 6s. But I could be wrong. Great Barnville, I think, is the test. That looks like a 6er. Chunnington is a 6er. Punfingford, I think, is a 7er. I know it's a 6er now. Yeah, the rebuild. You get the idea. And then finally, which is the one I'm not a fan of right now, but it will change in the future, the 3 services out of BTS, Bartholomew Square, they are 319s. And that's just because of the dual voltage. You may have noticed, actually, as I was swiping around just now, this. If you haven't noticed, I guess I wasted my time doing it, but I went and rebuilt a lot of the junctions and stuff here. I tidied it up a little bit. There was a loop from the freight yard here. That's been changed. I didn't do much over this side of things, to be fair. But there was an extra line over here somewhere that I got rid of completely. Moved these lines over. You see there's a gap here now. That used to be a track. I might actually, for some of these, use the lifted track new GRF and just stick some of those down in places just to show the legacy of what used to be here. I still need to do something here because I don't like the fact that trains out of Runfingwell have to climb up, over and then down again. So what I wanted to do was have this overground line here actually climb up, go over the top of everything and then drop down again, which is easier said than done when you've got this huge diagonal. So that might get changed in the future. But the big rebuild was over this side. You remember there's loads of bridges that sort of, tied themselves up in knots and things like that. That's all been redone. So the line out of Runfingwell now is a lot tidier. Skips across this way, comes around like so. And that also means that the overground line that I was talking about, which is this one, when it actually comes through here now, it can either go this way onto the Great Northern line, which I don't think it'll ever do, or it can go this way through Headinghall and onto the West Winds line, where it forms that service that I was talking about a moment ago. There's a lot of messy stuff here. There's a lot of awesome stuff here. The main thing is, as I said, there are some issues still with the conflict detector. It's still doing a much better job than I ever would with pen and paper. And the longest part of the process, in all honesty, was geeing myself up to do all of the manual timings. So I think I've mentioned this before as well, but the way it works right now, and again, this may get replaced by a program in the future, but it's easier just to do it the way I'm doing it right now. It's a spreadsheet, and it literally has all of the services from start to finish, every single station. There is a lot of copy and paste along the way. For example, this 315, I run the first one, and if it runs from, say, GSG to Don'tborough, and then one goes left at the junction, one goes right, between GSG and Don'tborough, all of that is just copy and pasted. There's no reason to do it twice. But yeah, the timing trains are run, and then every single time is inputted into the spreadsheet. It's then converted into minutes, and all of those then have to be input back into this. So if I show you here, these are all in increments of half a minute. So between Don'tborough and Renningville, I think it actually takes like, I don't know, 42 seconds or something like that. But here it's timetabled as 30 because it rounds down to the nearest half minute. I think that's correct still. Might have got that wrong. I did work with Master Trams on that bit though, so I think we're equally to blame if that's not correct. But because of that, we end up with semi-realistic timings. So if you go on real-time trains, you'll see there's a running time and then a working time. I think these are all running times that we've done here, or sectional running times, SRTs. I'm waffling, I apologise. The main thing, as I said, it works. But I might make that a program in the future as well, if one day I can have it just rip from this. So again, one of the... Oops, always click the wrong thing here. Where is it? There. Rename this running... like running time train or something like that, or timing train. Make it distinguishable, and then import the save into a program and be able to select that train from a drop down or even a search bar. That would be awesome. That would save so much time, because then I can literally say to it, take all of the times, put them into this, convert them into minutes, and put them back onto the train. And if that's a thing that's possible, please let me know, because that will save me hours. It took 3 days just to do the timing trains and all the timings and stuff. The easiest bit, and it took 2 hours maximum, was once all the detection and stuff was done, was actually setting up the timetables and the scheduled dispatch and things like that, and adjusting stop times. That was easy. That was really easy. It's still tedious, but it's easy, you know. But yeah, we're up and running. We have 2 new franchises join the network. I think 46 new trains across 17 services, which is just mental when you say it out loud like that. I'm just going to check those numbers, though. It's definitely 17, because it was 9 on the West Winds and 8 on the Great Northern. I remember that. And here we've got 23 trains on the West Winds, all making me lots and lots of lovely money. And then over here on the Great Northern, it's another 23 trains. And again, look at all the liveries. This one's a bit tidier. I have 1 train here that's not in Network Southeast livery, whereas all the rest are in NSE. Whereas on the West Winds, I was a bit more free. Various BR liveries. I love the old rickety units, the idea of them running around on the network. And next episode, as I said, we're doing the Northwestern, I believe it's called, which runs from Sunnington in the west, which also has West Wind services, but I believe it doesn't have any at the moment, which is... Oh no, there is one. It's just hidden. Yeah, over here. There's 2, in fact. They're very hidden. Yeah, from Sunnington in the west, all the way over to Beffingway in the east. So I don't think Beffingway is going to need too much of a rebuild, which is very nice. The signalling is going to have to be redone on these lines. Both the electrified line here, because you can see I've still got the old archaic method of doing the speed limits, and the North Valleys line, which is the non-electrified, I guess it's a branch, I guess you can call it that, that runs all the way along here, as you can see. Yes. So we're going to be doing that next time, and because of that, we're going to be having some more old rickety units coming out. We're going to have some Generation 1 DMUs. We are possibly even going to see a pacer or 2. Who knows? I'm trying to find a depot right now so I can actually show you. There we go. if I was to open this and scroll down, again, I'm wasting so much time. I wanted to keep this to about an hour, but I think that dream has died. We've got pacers, we've got sprinters, express sprinters. I think all three of those are going to get a run out here, as well as some loco hauled stock as well. I really, really, really want to try the 31 push-pull and see if it actually works, because I think it does. I think it does, and I think the 47 works with push-pull as well. So I want to try that out. I'm going to stop short of using HSTs though, which I did previously, because those were using short-form HST sets, which aren't a thing in this era. This is in 1997-ish, this network at the moment. It may have evolved to the 2000s at some point in the future, but right now it's fixed firmly to the late 90s, around about the time the channel tunnel opened, up to the point in which privatization happened. You know, I'm not a fan of privatization. I'm not a fan of nationalization. If anyone's interested, it's just as long as the trains run on time, I don't really care who owns them. But yeah, that's it for this episode. So next time out, we're going to be doing the Northwestern, and then after that, might as well give you a little sneak preview. We're going to be heading back to St. Michael, and we're going to be doing the Western Reaches South, and then after that, we're going to be starting on the Gardcity Overground and Underground networks, possibly the Underground first, which is mainly hubbed here at Bankside, but every mainline station here, with the exception of... Actually, no, there is no exception anymore. Yeah, GSB is actually on the Underground and Overground, actually. Yeah, it's got stations everywhere. I'm sure there is a mainline station that doesn't have an Underground link. But I can't think, because even GSE does now. Maybe I've made that up. Maybe I'm lying through my teeth. Who knows? But yeah, we're going to start getting those hooked up, because again, eventually we're going to have major services operating out of GSMA, which is Gardcity St. Mark, Gardcity St. John, and Gardcity St. Peter. So we need ways to link everything up, and the Overground doesn't link up all of the terminus stations, but the Underground, it seems, does. So yeah, that's next on the to-do list. I'm going to start planning out those services, and then we're going to leave Gardcity for a bit, and I think we're going to head down to Bar City and get those franchises up and running as well. And there will be, I can't promise you when right now, but there will be members exclusive videos for the Transrapid here out of GSJ, and also fixing the high speed and adding that to the new system that I'm developing with the conflict detectors and all that stuff. Master Trams did an excellent job with this, by the way. It's only because it's entirely independent right now, and were it not for the fact that we have track connections, I'm not going to show you because I can't find it right now, but we have track connections where this joins the conventional rail into Bar City and out the southern end. Were it not for that, I wouldn't have to do it, but unfortunately we are going to have to do it, so that's going to be its own video as well. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your patience as well while I've been scratching my head on these programs. 3 months it took me all in to get it to this stage. And as I said, it's still not perfect. And actually, the AI tool that I was using to help with writing code doesn't want to write code for me anymore. They did an update of some kind, which makes it impossible now to do, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of lines of code at once. Because what I was doing was writing a section and then copying it and pasting it into the AI and just saying help, make fix, and I can't do that anymore. So the program may have to stay as is for the foreseeable, but if you are a coder out there and you think you can spare an afternoon or an evening to help me out with that, by all means get in touch. Everything's annotated to the eyeballs, so you should be able to pick up quite quickly how it all works, and I can always explain it if not. And like I said, I just need help extracting the station capabilities and turning it into its own thing, and also making sure that the headways are correctly implemented, which I think they are now, but I'm not sure if they were when I ran it before. So yeah, whatever. Thank you for your patience. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you're enjoying the series so far. These episodes will come thicker and faster now. I think the next one will be due in 2 weeks, possibly. I'm saying this now. This video comes out in September, second week of September. When you're watching this, I'm currently in the second week of August. So hopefully I can get a good run of getting these videos recorded. And I'm basically going to start the next one as soon as this one's finished. So yeah, that was my desk, by the way. I've got a very bouncy bit of my desk and I always catch it with my hand. So apologies if you heard that. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Drop some comments down below with ideas for future episodes. And if you do want to become a Patreon supporter or a YouTube channel member, links to both are in the description down below. You become a franchise holder if you support me that way, and you can come on here and run trains yourself if you so wish, or trams, or buses, or trucks, or planes, or ships. Whatever you want, basically, they are yours to run. So check out all of that stuff down below. And I think actually by the time this goes out, you can also check out my website, which is also linked down below. And you can actually have a go at the timetable thing yourself. All the programs I am planning on putting on there. If it all works, of course. So check out the website. You can check out the website anyway. It's got info about lots of my videos and stuff, which is always interesting. And there'll be a whole section where you can go on and play with this yourself. And it's not just for the M4J network. If you've got your own network out there, the stuff works for that as well. So feel free to check that out. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your evening. And until next time, I will see you soon.